factors. Fourth factor is subsidies and taxes. Now, for example, if the government has applied any kind of tax on my commodity, okay, they have applied any kind of, I'll show you the diagram how it looks like. So you definitely are not asked to make the diagram, but again, it's good that you know it. So if this is my supply curve S1, and this is the current price being charged, PE and QE, let's say suppose. So now what will happen if I say that there is a tax imposed? Sorry, I'm very sorry. Just give me a second. I have made a wrong graph. So here, let me make a supply S1. Okay. So this is my supply and this is my P1 and Q1. QP and QE. Okay. Now, if there is a tax being imposed, meaning I'm able to buy 10 kgs over here, at that 10 kgs, I can buy at 5 per kg. Now, since the government has imposed 1 rupee tax on each quantity, so this will now become 6 per kg. Okay, it will become what? It will become 6 per kg, and at this 6 per kg, since it has become what? Since the government has applied tax, it has become expensive, right? And so my supply curve will shift upwards. If the government applies tax on a particular commodity or a particular good, it becomes expensive, meaning the price is increasing. And if the price again, so this is an indirect effect, but again, we don't consider when we are talking about the factors other than the price. What we are saying is that if the tax increases, here I have written an opposite case. Here I am saying that if the tax goes down, then the supply increases. So this is the vice versa case which I have explained. In my graph, I've explained the other thing. I'll quickly explain the other part as well. So if this is my S1, let's say suppose this is my price, this is my quantity, P1, Q1. And now if I'm saying that government has reduced the taxes, they have made it cheaper. Okay, LPG. They have recently, if you follow the news, they have reduced the tax on LPG and whatever reduce the, so now if they have reduced the tax, your good has become cheaper, and according to what will happen, and since your tax is going down, you will increase the supply. It will move to the right. If this portion is known as the tax, or maybe this portion is known as the tax portion. Your price does not exactly change by the amount of change in the tax. This is something which we'll be studying later when we'll be studying the implication of tax. But this change in price is not exactly same as what you see the change in your tax. For example, if the government is imposing a tax of, let's say suppose 1 rupee on each quantity of rice, that does not mean that the price will exactly increase by 1 rupee, because there is an impact which is falling on both the consumer and the producer. So the impact of tax, which is 1 rupee, increase of 1 rupee in the tax, the burden falls on both the producer and the consumer. So obviously the consumer is not bearing it entirely, and they will not entirely pay extra 1 rupees. No. The tax which I am talking about over here is the tax which is being charged on the supplier. It is not on the consumer. So when I am a supplier, I am selling a good. It is a tax which is being charged on the production itself. So the burden is falling both on the supplier and the consumer. So the price will not increase by 1. If your question is in exam that the government charges a tax of rupees so and so on the supplier, this does not mean that the price will increase by that amount only. No, because it is charged directly to the supplier, so the burden will be shared by both consumer and producer, and so in that case the price is not rising by entirely the amount of tax. This is something which you need to keep in mind. And so here, coming back to this point, if there is a decrease in the tax, government is decreasing the taxes or giving subsidies in some of the goods, then for me, what is happening for me in the back end as a supplier? My cost of production is going down. And if the cost of production is going down, my supply will increase. That was the second point, price of inputs. Right? So if tax is decreasing, the supplier tax on the supplier, then there will be an increase in the supply.